Cool.
When you guys are ready. Rolling.
Rolling. Ready.
Rolling. Great. About 7 o'clock this morning, one of my officers made a traffic stop on Interstate 40. I'm around milepost 19, eastbound. The driver of that vehicle is identified as Stephen Thompson from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He's 33 years old. During the course of the traffic stop, the driver and my officer were having a discussion outside of the vehicle. Inside the vehicle was a passenger. I can't identify her right now. She hasn't been charged with anything as of yet, although she occupied the back seat of the car. The officer at some point asked the driver to stay away from the car. The driver didn't obey his orders and jumped in the driver's seat, put the car in drive, and proceeded to leave the area with the passenger in the back seat. My officer entered the vehicle as it was driving off and in the passenger front seat, and as he did that, the vehicle accelerated and both doors shut on him. So now we have a situation where we have a state police officer traveling down the interstate away from his unit, eastbound on I-40, while that vehicle is in motion and he's trying to get the driver to stop and pull over. The passenger is attacking him. The driver, I believe, was fighting back, obviously not wanting to stop. My officer's in fear for his life and pulls his service weapon and fires one round into the abdomen of the driver, which persuades him rather quickly to pull the vehicle over and stop, where he's taken into custody, and of course medical personnel are called to assist him. He's taken to the hospital in Gallup, and he's currently being treated right now. I don't know his condition. The passenger is being interviewed. Mr. Thompson, like I said, is from Oklahoma. I believe he has a prior criminal history to include use of a vehicle and discharge of a weapon, malicious injury, destruction of property, eluding police officers, carrying a firearm after conviction during probation. And we're working through all of that now. As to why the officer or why the individual drove off and disobeyed the officer, we don't know yet. We still have to interview him, still have to interview the, of course, the officer and whoever else. We have some witnesses, of course, to look at.
How's the officer doing?
Appreciate that question. I love when I get that question first. Officer is doing fine. He'll be placed on the, of course, administrative leave 3 days. He's got scratches to his face and his neck where he fought with the occupants of the vehicle to gain control of it. That officer has about 1.5 years on with my department and about 12 years with Navajo PD. I can't name him right now, but once he's interviewed, hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll go ahead and provide that information.
So he was stuck, like the door shut on him, and he was like, was he being dragged pretty much down the interstate? I'm trying to picture that. How did that happen?
I haven't seen the video of it yet. There is video that does exist. I believe what happened was, as the driver, Mr. Stephen Thompson, is driving away, my officer, who probably wants to avert a pursuit and anybody getting injured, jumps in the front seat and probably tries to put the vehicle in park or get him to pull over, get the keys out of the ignition. I'm not sure what's going through his head, and we'll know more when we interview him. Of course, the momentum of the vehicle and the acceleration shuts the door on him, and once he hit the gas, there's no going back. That officer's committed to getting that vehicle stopped. And the driver, of course, has decisions to make, and of course could have pulled over and averted getting shot in the abdomen. But again, we're waiting to see what and how this turns out as far as the interviews.
What's the status on Stephen Thompson?
In the hospital, I believe he's in the Indian Health Hospital there in Gallup, and he was in surgery. And Chad will provide an update once he finds out. And of course, when he's released, he'll be booked and charged. I don't have the exact list of charges yet on him.
Okay.
And the passenger I alluded to, we know who she is. She's an acquaintance of Mr. Thompson. We just can't identify her yet because she hasn't been charged yet.
And this is all just a routine traffic stop?
Yep, a routine traffic stop on Interstate 40. Interstate 40 is one of the most dangerous roads to make traffic stops on. I worked Interstate 40 for a number of years. East-west coast traffic, very fast, a lot of people, and it just shows you how this job can turn real quick. You know, we see it time and time again. Obviously, I'm very happy my officer's okay. Minor injuries. You know, the potential for catastrophic injuries was there, whether it, of course, was the Mr. Thompson and or any of the motorists that were operating. We did have a motorist that called 911 and did see my officer struggling with him physically. Also, that person will be interviewed.
Are you relieved no one passed away during all this?
Oh, very much so. We don't like to see any loss of life, so definitely. You know, these pursuits, although we weren't chasing him, the officer was in the car, very dangerous. So it's very concerning to me. We'll definitely do a complete investigation and figure out exactly what happened. But yeah, no loss of life is always good, especially when it comes to the potential of a police officer getting killed at the hands of Mr. Thompson that apparently didn't want to stop.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know how long the vehicle was traveling, or Stephen Thompson was driving with the officer in the driver's seat?
About a mile.
About a mile.
About a mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was before the shots were fired.
Well, I don't know exactly what the time frame was. I would only make the assumption. I don't like to make assumptions in this business, but if shot in the abdomen by a police officer, I would think that would probably stop the vehicle, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is it? So I'm just trying to get the picture. Was the officer in the car? Was the officer jammed in the door? Where was?
The officer was in the car with the door shut.
Was in the car with the door
He
shut.
was trapped in that vehicle with the driver and the passenger, while the passenger is beating on him. Apparently.
Is it common in training for a state trooper to get in the car of a suspect in these situations?
Is it common?
Yeah.
Does it happen? Yeah, but no, we certainly don't like to see that. But officers doing his job, trying to get the vehicle and person stopped, and things happen rather quickly. You and I have the luxury of talking about this and taking a lot of time to dissect it. That officer had to make a decision within 2.8 seconds, and that decision was to ride it out with that suspect. It shows you how dedicated officers are, and it also shows you that they're willing to risk their life for people like us. So it's commendable.
So do you plan on having these interviews done within the next 2 or 3 days?
Yes,
or?
sir. I do. It'll probably take a week or so, and then Chad will keep the media updated, especially when there's charges that are formally filed.
What kind of charges could this suspect be facing at this time?
You know, there's. I don't want to second guess the investigators. I don't exactly know what charges there are, but sure, there's. You know, we have battery, assault on a peace officer. There's a litany of charges. I'm sure that will come of this.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, we have a white background. You guys want to get it?
Show that?
Yeah.
What do you want, black or white?
We'll just get him right
Put
up
him
here.
on this.
Yeah,
Put
you put them over there against the.
Yeah.
That'll work. That give you a good enough